2019, it's a stretch to call Gamescom E3's little brother. Europe's biggest video game convention has far more attendees than E3, and the reveals are creeping towards parity. It's never been more apparent than this year. With so many anticipated reveals, a new need for speed is left in the pits. It's shaping up to be the best Gamescom ever, and here are the top 10 reasons why.
Number 10, Death Stranding.
Kojima's wacky take on connecting people together is a known quantity after E3 2019. We know Norman Reedus is trying to save mankind from supernatural extinction. We know he's essentially a mailman delivering precious cargo. We know it's heavy on stealth and terrain traversal. What we don't know is if it's no longer a PlayStation exclusive. That designation was removed from its official website, and the rumors are swirling that a PC version will be announced at Gamescom. Sony funded its development, but the PC platform isn't exactly direct competition.
Number 9, The Last of Us Part 2.
It's been 16 months since we last got an official update on Naughty Dog's sequel. That hasn't stopped the rumor mill from churning, as leaks have suggested a February 2020 launch date and 4 different versions. Gamescom is the last massive game convention before then, so expectations are high that we will get new gameplay and a solid release date. That's enough for this one to land at number 9.
Number 8, Marvel's Avengers.
Crystal Dynamics' Avengers game had an inauspicious E3 2019. No one thought it was bad, just a tad underwhelming after the theatrical dominance of Endgame. Cell phone footage of its Comic-Con demo leaked out, and it seemed to soothe some fans, and it will be playable for the first time at Gamescom 2019, by the public no less. We suspect a rapid rise in interest directly proportional to the acceptance that the Marvel Cinematic Universe is basically wrapped up.
Number 7, Ghost of Tsushima.
As it turns out, Ghost of Tsushima is aptly named. The hack-and-slash set in 13th century feudal Japan debuted with a trailer at Paris Games Week in 2017, and we received the first gameplay at E3 2018, but it has ghosted players ever since. With a reported 2020 release date, now is not the time for its developer Sucker Punch to be shy. New gameplay is practically a given, but it's teetering on becoming a crossover game for the PlayStation 5 launch. We should know much more when the final curtain falls on Gamescom 2019.
Number 6, SEGA AAA game.
Alien Isolation is one of those games that has increased in stature since its release. It received mediocre reviews, but thanks to streamers and its high-intensity demeanor, it has ascended beyond its review scores. The same team is working on a new first-person shooter for SEGA, and the Japanese publisher just announced it has something big and new to show at Gamescom. Big-budget horror shooters are in short supply these days, so we expect it to leave a mark.
Number 5, Rainbow Six Quarantine.
Ubisoft's Tom Clancy games usually play it straight, but the puzzling debut of Rainbow Six Quarantine at E3 2019 shattered those expectations. The cooperative zombie shooter got a stage presentation and a teaser trailer, but not many looks at how it actually plays. Gamescom is on Ubisoft's home turf, so we suspect it'll make sure to give its fellow Europeans something to remember. Will it soil the brand or evolve it? Either way, we can't wait to find out.
Number 4, Dead Island 2.
Dead Island 2 is dangerously close to becoming the next Duke Nukem Forever. The first game is almost 9 years old, and the sequel was supposed to be released in early 2015. Since then, it has changed developers twice, but publisher THQ Nordic has just announced that it's still in active development. It lines up nicely with a prior announcement that the publisher has a big game to show at Gamescom. After almost a decade, it appears we might get the first look at gameplay.
Number 3, Harry Potter Magic Awakened.
9 years after the final film was released, and 12 years after the last book, the Harry Potter IP remains strong. A Pokemon Go clone was recently released for mobile, but what Couch Wizards are really waiting for is this open-world action RPG from the studio behind the Disney Infinity franchise. While it doesn't have a ton of experience with the genre, it's excellent at handling fragile IP. It's the Harry Potter game we've always wanted, and a leaked trailer from a focus test confirms that desire.
Number 2,
When Gamescom 2019 is over, we fully expect to award CYBERPUNK 2077 with a well-deserved Game of the Show. It's been the best game at every gaming convention it's appeared at, but there are several of them at this point. The Keanu Reeves announcement caught us off guard, so perhaps there are more surprises in store, but for the most part, it's now a known quantity, which is what keeps it from taking the top spot.
Number 1, Elden Ring.
It's rare that two gigantic rabid fan bases are fused into one for a video game, but that's exactly what's happening with Elden Ring. From Software and the writer of the Game of Thrones books, George R.R. Martin, have joined forces for this action RPG, and anticipation has basically hit a boiling point. That's because news has leaked that it will be shown at Gamescom for the first time with behind-closed-doors demos for the press. Remember the hype around CYBERPUNK 2077 at E3 2018? We suspect the same thing is going to happen with Elden Ring at Gamescom 2019. Making cuts to this list was extremely difficult, which bodes well for an excellent Gamescom. The best way to cut through all the noise is using SIFTD. Our Gamescom hub lets you sift through hundreds of pieces of content by over 60 different categories. You can't find it anywhere else. Look for a link to our hub in the description, and enjoy the show.